Welcome to Whispers of Wisdom, gentle tales for your heart and mind.
In the quiet spaces of the soul, there are ancient doors that most of us pass by without knowing they were ever there. Rumi, the great mystic poet of the 13th century, spent his life opening those doors and inviting others to walk through them, slowly, gently awake. Tonight, we begin a journey into his wisdom, not rushed, not analyzed, but felt, like warm light entering a cold room. So take a breath, a slow, easy, unforced breath, and let yourself arrive. Rumi once wrote, "What you seek is seeking you." Pause there for a moment, let the words rest in your mind. Without trying to understand them, just feel them. What if the things you long for, peace, love, healing, purpose, are not far away, but already moving toward you? What if your desires are not random needs, but quiet messages from your soul, calling you back to yourself? Rumi believed that every longing within us is a sign of connection, not of emptiness. He didn't see the human heart as broken. He saw it as a compass, a sacred device, always pointing toward what is real, toward what is eternal, toward what loves us back. So before we go deeper, pause again. Let your shoulders soften. Let the muscles in your face release. Let your breath lower itself into your chest, into your belly. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to think about. Right now you are here, and Rumi's wisdom begins here. He said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Maybe there is part of you, a memory, a heartbreak, failure, something you carry quietly, not to push away, not to drown out with noise, but to hold gently without judgment. Rumi did not teach through arguments or rules. He taught through love, through surrender, through stories whispered to the spirit rather than shouted at the mind. He believed that the heart, when listened to, is wiser than logic, softer than fear, and closer to God than thought. So in this first part, we don't force anything. We simply open the door to remembering that you were not created to be restless, or empty, or afraid of your own soul. You were created from love. You were created for love. And you were created to return to love. Pause again. Let that truth land wherever it wants to. Not in your head, but in your breath, in your chest, in the space behind your ribs. Rumi wrote, "Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. Not just a body, not just a name, not just a story with scars and labels and limits. Something deeper lives in you. Something vast. Something luminous. Something ancient." In this series, through 7 slow, soul-soothing parts, we will walk with Rumi, through longing, through surrender, through pain, through love, through the silence inside the heart. Let this first part be only the opening of the gate, the soft hand on the doorknob, the first breath before the story continues. Take one last breath here, gently, and out slowly. You're doing exactly what you are meant to do. You are listening, and the journey has already begun. There is a kind of longing that doesn't always feel like longing. Sometimes it feels like restlessness, sometimes like sadness for no clear reason, sometimes like a quiet hunger you can't name. Rumi understood this deeply. He said, "There is a candle in your heart, ready to be kindled. There is a void in your soul, ready to be filled. You feel it, don't you?" Pause for a moment and let those words float. Maybe you felt it before. In the late night silence, when the world goes quiet and something inside you stirs. Not pain exactly, not fear exactly, but something calling. Rumi believed that this inner stirring is not a weakness, but a sacred sign. The soul remembers where it came from, even when the mind forgets. And so it pulls us, sometimes gently, sometimes through heartbreak, sometimes through awe. It pulls us toward truth, toward connection, toward the divine. Take a slow breath right here, not to change anything, but to hear more clearly. Rumi wrote, "The desire to know your own soul will end all other desires." There is so much noise in modern life, so many tasks, distractions, expectations, but underneath all of it, something in you is trying to rise. Not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, but to return to something older than time. Some people call it God, some call it love, some call it the beloved, some simply call it stillness. Names don't matter to Rumi, only closeness. He said, your heart knows the way. Run in that direction. But we don't have to run. We can walk. We can sit. We can breathe. Longing is not always loud. Sometimes it is a whisper you only hear when you stop trying so hard. So right now, just pause. Notice the space between your breaths. Notice the quiet behind the thoughts. Notice the part of you that is listening. That is the place Rumi spoke to. Not the busy mind, not the past or the future, but the listener within the listener. You don't have to force transformation. You don't have to solve your life in one night. You only have to be willing to listen to the pull of your own soul. Rumi once said, let yourself be silently drawn by the pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. What if your longing is not a problem, but a compass? What if the ache you feel sometimes is not emptiness, but invitation? Invitation to rest, invitation to soften, invitation to return home to yourself. Take another breath here, and slowly, out gently. No need to rush, no need to understand everything. The soul doesn't speak in explanations. It speaks in feeling, in silence, in pull. This is where transformation begins. Not with effort, but with awareness. We spend much of our lives holding on to old stories, old fears, old identities, holding on to what someone said once, what didn't happen, what should have happened. Even when our hands are tired, even when our hearts are heavy, we still cling. Rumi understood this, not with judgment, but with compassion. He wrote, why do you stay in prison when the door is so wide open? Pause with that. Most of the prisons we live in are made of memory, of attachment, of fear of what comes after release. We say we want peace, but we hold tightly to what keeps us from it. We say we want to heal, but we grip the very pain that asks to be set down. Letting go is not about forgetting. It is about freeing. Freeing your breath, freeing your body, freeing your soul to rise again. Take a slow breath in, and imagine your hands unclenching, not from force, but from trust. Rumi said, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Letting go is not the end. It is a doorway to becoming, to remembering, to quiet peace. Think of a leaf in autumn. It does not panic when it releases the branch. It does not beg to stay attached. It surrenders to the air and trusts the wind to carry it. That is the kind of softness Rumi invites. He also wrote, don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form. So much of our suffering comes from believing that release equals loss, when often release equals transformation. The pain you carry is not asking you to relive it. It is asking you to honor it, and then set it gently down. Imagine placing your worries, one by one, on the ground beside you, not throwing them away, not denying them, just setting them down. Feel how light your chest becomes, how easy the breath moves, when you stop carrying what is not meant to stay with you forever. Letting go does not mean indifference. It means trust. Trust that what belongs to you cannot be taken, and what has finished teaching you can leave. Take another breath here. Long, slow inhale. Gentle exhale. Rumi wrote, you were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life? Your wings are buried beneath your grip. When you release even a little, you rise. Letting go is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is love for your own soul. And slowly, gently, you begin to make space. Space for ease. Space for grace. Space for what is real to enter. There is a longing in every human heart, a quiet ache we cannot always name. Some try to fill it with achievement, others with people, others with control or certainty. But Rumi understood something deeper. He knew that this longing was not a flaw of the soul, but a compass, a pull back to the source, to the presence, to the love that breathes us. He wrote, the minute I heard my first love story, I started looking for you, not knowing how blind that was. Lovers don't finally meet somewhere. They're in each other all along. Pause with that. Rumi did not see the divine as distant. He did not imagine God as a figure in the clouds, separate, unreachable, apart. To him, God was the breath in your body, the warmth in your chest, the silence that meets you. When the world grows quiet, he wrote, I searched for God and found only myself. I searched for myself and found only God. Union for Rumi was not something you achieve. It was something you remember, like waking from a long dream and realizing you were home all along. He spoke of God, not as a judge, but as a beloved, not as a concept, but as an intimacy so close you could not step outside it if you tried. The lamps are different, but the light is the same. Every soul shines with that light, even when we forget, even when we fear we've lost our way. The pain we feel, the hunger, the restlessness, these are not signs of failure. They are signals of separation from our own source. Rumi said, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. The barriers are subtle, stories of unworthiness, old wounds that never got to speak, walls built from disappointment or silence. But love, divine love, does not force itself in. It waits patiently for the softening, for the breath, for the surrender. Sit with this. The presence you seek is already within your ribs, already warming the blood in your veins, already listening to the sound of your breath as it enters and leaves. You do not need to reach upward. You do not need to chase light. You only need to turn inward and remember. Rumi wrote, close your eyes, fall in love, stay there, not with a person, not with an image, but with the pulse of the divine inside your being. This union does not remove pain from human life, but it transforms it. When you know you are held, when you know you are guided, carried, seen, the ache becomes softer, the worry loosens, the fear has somewhere to rest. He said, through love, all that is bitter will be sweet. Through love, all that is copper will be gold. Love with a capital L is an alchemy, changes the weight of things. It reorders our breath. It makes even pain meaningful. You are not separate from that love. You are not outside it. You are made of it. Take a breath here. Slow inhale. Soft exhale. Let the words settle. You are not searching for God. You are remembering God. You are not far from love. You are woven from love. And the longing you feel is simply the echo of that truth, calling you home. Take a breath. Let the mind settle. Let your awareness soften like warm light melting across a quiet room. Rumi often reminded us that love is not only a feeling, it is a force, a movement, a path that carries the soul closer to its origin. He says, love is the bridge between you and everything, not some things, not only the moments that feel beautiful, but everything, the people who inspire us, and the people who challenge us, the situations that bring peace, and the ones that stir the deepest questions. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine love not as an emotion you own, but as an ocean you float in. You cannot hold it. You can only surrender to it. Rumi teaches us that love is not meant to be contained in words or defined by attachment. It is the essence that dissolves the illusion of separation, the illusion that I am here, and you are there. When love is understood in its purest form, the walls between souls begin to dissolve. He writes, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Let that thought rest in you for a moment. The invitation is not to chase love or to demand it from others, but to gently uncover where you have blocked it within yourself. Perhaps those barriers formed through pain, perhaps through fear or disappointment, maybe through silence, or the quiet belief that you are unworthy of deep connection. Rumi calls us not to destroy those barriers harshly, but to let them melt with awareness, with gentleness, with compassion. Pause here, breathe slowly, and imagine a warm light entering the places within you where love has been shut away, not forcing them to open, but softly knocking. Because love in Rumi's vision is not loud, not impatient, not demanding. It is presence. It is seeing others with the eyes of the soul, not the mind. It is letting someone be imperfect, while remembering you are imperfect too. He tells a story of a man who traveled far and wide searching for love, from cities to deserts, from scholars to mystics. And only when he returned home exhausted did he realize love had always been the ground beneath his feet. The lesson: love is not found by traveling across the world, but by journeying inward, to the place where the heart whispers truths the mind has forgotten. Pause. Let that settle. And then Rumi reminds us of something deeply profound, that love is not only joy. Sometimes it is the pain that opens us, the breaking that softens us, the longing that wakes the soul from sleep. The wound is the place where the light enters you. Consider your own wounds for a moment, not as scars to hide, but as doors, gates where divine light has tried to reach you. What if the heartbreak you experienced was not an ending, but an invitation? What if the loneliness you once felt was not emptiness, but sacred space being cleared for something greater? Rumi teaches that love burns away what is false, so that only truth remains. That is why the path can feel difficult, not because love is cruel, but because we resist letting go of what no longer serves us. Feel your breath. Let the noise of thought quiet just a little, and listen. Rumi's poetry tells us that love is not the destination we walk toward. It is the path that carries us. A path of softening, a path of dissolving pride, a path of learning to see the divine presence in every being. Imagine standing in a circle of light. Each person you have ever known stands around you. Some you love deeply, some you have lost, some you still carry questions about. And from your heart, a warm light expands slowly, like sunrise across still water. Not to fix them, not to change the past, but simply to include them in your compassion. No judgment, no resistance, just a silent acknowledgement that each soul is walking their own path, sometimes stumbling, sometimes seeking, always growing. This, Rumi would tell us, is love in motion, love as journey, love as transformation, love as remembrance. Pause one more time. Let the breath settle, let the heart listen, and carry this thought gently within you. Wherever you stand, be the soul of that place. Not because you have all the answers, not because you feel perfect, but because love flows most purely through those who allow themselves to be open. Let that openness become your prayer, your practice, your quiet teaching to the world. There is a moment in every seeker's journey when the questions grow quieter and something softer begins to speak within. Rumi often compared the soul to an ocean, vast, ancient, and filled with unseen depth. He would say, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." Pause here. Let the words breathe. In a world that constantly pulls us outward, toward noise, opinions, judgment, and fear, we forget that the truest knowing rises not from reaction, but from stillness. Rumi teaches that the silence inside us is not empty. It is full of memory, full of wisdom, full of something older than time. There was once a traveler who came to Rumi, exhausted, anxious, and unsure of himself. He said, "I feel small. I feel lost. I feel like nothing I do matters." Rumi looked at him, not with pity, but with recognition. He replied gently, "You feel small because you measure yourself by what the eye can see. Close your eyes and let the heart remember its own size." The traveler was puzzled, but Rumi asked him to sit in silence and breathe, not to chant, not to pray aloud, not to chase visions, just to rest from something ancient within you. Rumi often told a parable of a drop of water that fell from the sky into a clay jar. It stayed there so long that it forgot it once belonged to the infinite. It said to itself, "I am only this small bit of water. I can do nothing." But one day, the jar cracked open, and the drop spilled out onto the earth, flowing into a river, and finally into the sea. There it whispered, "I was never small. I only forgot where I came from." Pause. If you are listening to this now, perhaps some part of you is remembering, not with the mind, but with the heart. Rumi believed there are two types of voices within us: The loud one made of fear, habit, and memory, and the quiet one made of soul. The first shouts, "You are not enough. You are late. You are behind. You are broken." The second whispers, "Be still. You are not lost. You are returning." But here is the challenge. The soul does not shout. It waits. It waits for us to stop chasing the noise outside long enough to feel the ocean moving quietly within us. Take a breath now slowly. Imagine that everything you have called you, your name, your job, your roles, your fears, are only clothing, and beneath them is something that does not age, does not panic, does not break. Rumi said, "Silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation." Let that sink in. Sheaf of rice when the heart becomes a shore. There is a subtle shift that happens as we awaken. We stop chasing the waves outside and begin listening to the tide inside. This doesn't mean we abandon life or responsibility. It means we live differently, not from panic, but from presence, not from emptiness, but from fullness, not from chasing, but from knowing. And slowly, the heart becomes not a container, struggling to be filled, but a shore, meeting the vastness it always belonged to. As you rest with these words, let them echo softly. You have never been small. You have only been sleeping. The ocean within you is patient. It has waited lifetimes. A soft blessing to close. If your soul has been tired, may it now rest. If your heart has been loud with questions, may it remember silence is also an answer. If you have felt alone on the road, may you now feel the warmth of something ancient walking beside you. And when life pulls you outward again, as it always will, may you return gently to the space within, where Rumi's words still echo. Close your eyes. Fall in love. Stay there. Pause. The journey is not ending here. It is simply changing shape. For the soul does not finish. It unfolds. And every unfolding is another meeting with the beloved. Thank you for walking this path with him and with yourself. When you're ready for a new journey, a new story, meditation, or voice, I'll be here to begin it with you.